Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Here in Los Angeles, in the sophisticated circles.
Both of them.
Everybody, the
Did
talk
you say
is
sophisticated in Los Angeles.
the talk is that the A leading contender, if not among some people, the leading contender, and the only movie that should be considered to win Best Picture is The Artist, which is going to get disagreed with here. Matt,
introduce us.
you
Do you want to introduce us?
Oh yeah, whatever. I forgot. Alonzo,
I liked your intro, though.
Alonzo Christie, Matt.
Sorry.
So the artist, the silent picture, the artist,
film.
Matt.
The story of it.
I'm sorry.
This is the story of a silent film actor, a big star, somewhat like Rudolph Valentino, who can't really quite change with the times. As sound pictures come in, as talkies come in, he stakes his claim to say, it's a gag, it's a novelty, people want to see silent films, I'm going to make my own movie, things go awry.
Silent.
And in black and white.
Yeah, and in black and white.
And in 4x3.
But shockingly, in CGI 3D.
Motion capture.
Why is it a mistake to say that this is a life-changing motion picture?
I can see why a lot of film lovers feel very nostalgic, and this maybe cries out to what made them love film in the first place.
Right. This is a movie for film nerds.
It's total nostalgia.
Right, along the lines of Hugo. It's a movie that I think is primarily for film nerds.
Look, I don't want to become the defender of this movie by myself, but I think that's a little reductive. I think that even if you've never seen a silent movie before, I think this movie gives you all the reasons why silent movies are fun to watch. And I said in my review that my concern is that people who've never seen a silent movie will treat this the way the people who'd never seen a Hong Kong action movie treated Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, wow, this is being invented before my eyes. If it becomes a gateway drug for them to go see actual silent movies, then great. More power to it.
It's not a bad
I don't think it will, though. I don't think it's going to do that.
It may or may not, but I don't think you have to be a film nut to find this movie charming. I do think that its charms are of a certain scale, and that the more there's Oscar talk about it, the more that scale is being blown out of proportion.
I don't think I'm sorry, you don't need to be a film nut to love it, but that explains why film nuts love it.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Right, but I think we have to sort of disengage from the Oscar talk and just discuss it on its merits. I think if people weren't talking about it, this movie came out in March, or April. I think
if it did.
Oh, if it did.
No. And I don't want to blame the movie for how it's being marketed or what the buzz is.
I think it comes out in April, and I think we think, oh my God, this is so charming. What a lovely little movie.
What a cute idea.
I think a cute idea, and I think a cute idea extremely well executed.
I think it is extremely well executed, but I don't think it's, yes, I think that on a certain level, the hype is going to oversell this movie, and I think that people are going to go in expecting something that's just mind-blowing, and I don't think it is. It's, to me, if you were to put this within the pantheon of some of the great silent films, like put this next to some of Chaplin's best movies,
Sure.
I think it pales in comparison. I think it's decent. It's a decent story, but I think that they use the silent aspect of it almost to make up for some holes. For instance, I'm not sure that this story would work as well as a straight-up movie. I think it gets a lot of mileage out of being a silent film.
Right.
Well, it's loaded
Right?
with homages to other films. I mean, the story is sort of cobbled together bits of Singing in the Rain
Right.
and Sunset Boulevard and A Star is Born.
Right.
And even like there are certain shots that are taken right out of Citizen Kane. So, I mean,
Right.
in a way, it's sort of like, you were saying it's like a cover song. I was saying it was a novelty tune. I mean, like it exists in its own sort of plane of like having fun with the genre, having fun with the aspect ratio, having fun with doing a
The
silent
Art Deco
film.
title.
Exactly,
Right,
in the
yeah.
modern day. And on that level, it's great, but that's kind of all it is.
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to compare this to Chaplin or Buster Keaton. I mean, in the same sense that we can't, watch War Horse and decide, well, this is simply not as good as Casablanca. I mean, just because they both have sound.
But even if you don't compare it to the silent greats, I think it is a movie that only exists as a cobbled together thing of other movies. In a way, it's
agree.
it's like a Tarantino movie in a way.
That's a really good
You know,
analogy.
where
parts are
Excellent
better.
Yeah, like if you've
analogy.
already seen the kung fu movies and the blaxploitation movies, whatever that he's referencing, it's like, oh yeah, that's like in Coffee,
I don't think that matters. I just don't think that made any difference.
'Cause it functions on its own.
I think it totally functions on its own. I think that if it had sound in it and it would still, the story, and one reason why I don't think it's fair to compare it to those other silent movies is because the idea here is that it's about this sort of significant moment of transformation in film history that matters, and if they'd had sound in it, it still would have been an
But
interesting,
if
compelling
it had
story.
sound, wouldn't you say, well, this is kind of like Singing in the Rain, only not as good?
No, I don't think so.
Because it's exactly this, almost exactly the same plot, but with some stars born.
I feel like, it takes a lot of mileage, as I said before, it gets a lot of mileage out of being a silent film. I think that if it was really a story about George Valentin, Paul Desjardins' character, Jean Desjardins. If it was really a story about his character, I felt like, I don't know, maybe it's just that the silent, like the mugging, as they call it themselves in the movie, like I didn't feel the tragedy. I didn't feel kind of the despair that he was showing.
Yeah, there's a big-
I felt like it was a very superficial story about a guy who couldn't change with the new technology.
No, it's a very lovingly crafted gimmick. It's fun off the top.
Right.
There's this big hole in the middle where it just sort of drags, and it gets fun at the end with a big production number at the end. But that thing in the middle there, you're right. If that were just like a normal movie, you would be looking at your watch. But
I think it's a movie worth seeing. It will not change your life.
No, I don't think. I know that I loved her. I thought she was exceptional, and I think I'm alone. Berenice Bejo.
I think she's really charming. This is my only qualm about her. I think that she doesn't look like a star of the early talkies because they tended to be. She's she's Argentine and French. She's sort of, not ethnic exactly, but
She's too exotic looking.
She's exotic looking. She would have an actress like her would have been cast in sort of the kind of anime Wong supporting roles.
Right,
But like
you don't buy her as the it girl.
Exactly,
that
for the
they
top of the
turned
line
her
it
into.
girl, she's not waspy enough. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's how Hollywood operated in 1928.
Right, but it's not a history lesson. I got that.
But it's trying to be.
And in a silent movie,
No, it's not. Because
as
they
Norma
cast a guy
Desmond
who
would
looks
tell you,
just like Gene
faces
Kelly.
matter.
Yeah.
So I think that
Right, and I think they were wrong. The face, like her face does matter. Her face is exceptional. It is popping.
No, but I think that they are trying to make a history movie. They go and cast the guy who looks just like Gene Kelly, who moves just like Gene Kelly. They clearly want you to think that way. And I think that they kind of, the director miscasts his wife.
It's his
I
wife.
thought she was exceptional. I really did. I
No,
thought she was-
she's lovely. I just couldn't get past her being sort of contextually wrong for this time period. I know non-traditional casting, whatever, but again, it's a silent movie. The face carries a lot of weight here, and she just didn't seem to be the right type for the character she was
But I think what you were then asking is them to make this movie even for a narrower audience. You were saying, let's really make this only for people who are obsessed with Singing in the Rain.
No. If you're going to choose a time period, a historical context, whether it's World War I, the entrance of talkies, the Prusso-Hungarian, whatever, you have to, you can't just futz around with that once
I don't
you've
think it's
committed
quite
to
the
it.
same as like making a black general in World War II. I don't
but
think
I feel
that.
like one of the things that one of the things it does to me is it kind of drops the ball in the point that it's trying to make, in that Dujardin's character can't change with the time. Like, he's got a very specific style of acting, and when it comes to talking, nobody wants to hear him talk, and he can't do the new subtlety. And they're showing her movies silently, but she's talking, and she's still doing, and everyone else in the movies that they're showing is still doing all the same mugging, all the same overreaction that you see in silent films. And I thought,
but that's sort of what happened at the beginning of Talkies.
Well, right, but 3 or 4 years later, you're starting to see some subtlety, and I don't know. I kind of didn't buy it.
Talk about the dog real fast.
Yeah,
Dog
again,
is great.
the dog is great.
You're making up for hating the horse.
No, I do. I like animals. I do. But again, like with Tintin, the dog is a crucial part of this. And
Steals the show.
Yeah, is a crucial, pivotal plot point.
Snowy's a much better dog.
It's a great dog. What's the dog's name here? Do you remember?
Uggy.
Uggy, yes.
Right.
And a lot of fun supporting cast. Like, I went into this thinking, oh, this is a French film because the director and the stars.
Say his name.
Michel Hazanavicius. So I was surprised to see, because I hadn't seen the trailer, John Goodman and Missy Pyle and James Cromwell and Beth Grant, and Penelope Ann Miller. Who knew she was working? So that was it was a cool cast.
Ed Lauder.
Ed Lauder, yeah, some great, and again, people with great faces.
Okay, your number. Yours is more reasonable.
I'd say a 7.2. I'd see this movie by all means.
A 6. It's a lovely gimmick.
I'm right there with you. I think I was oversold by the hype. So really, if you want to see this, you have to abandon all of the mentions of Best Picture of the Year. Everybody, a lot of people are calling this out as the Oscar frontrunner. I don't buy it.
I don't buy that either.
I think it is now, but it's going to peak early.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. But I haven't seen Tintin. There's no way that Tintin is better than this movie. No.
Absolutely it is.
No way.
Absolutely
not a chance. I realize that my argument is hampered by not having seen
Snowy
it,
would eat this
admittedly.
dog alive.
Well, you don't get hung up on the numbers. That's a thing that these are apples and oranges.
Totally, I get you.
Don't do that.
Tintin's much better. It's not in black and white.
But it's at what number? What's it at Rotten Tomatoes?
96%.
That's unbelievable. 6.7 is our rating. You should go see it. But I agree. Lower your. Don't imagine your life is going to change.
Don't believe the hype.
Right.
Right.
All right.